1953, the first version of a playable Pyro made its debut, allowing citizens for the first time to travel beyond the reaches of the stand system and experience the lawless, chaotic frontier that awaits them just around the proverbial corner. This Pyro playground then migrated to the newly implemented Preview channel, where it opened to players worldwide to experience just a glimpse of what's to come. And so, this week, because it was a giant milestone in the development of our project that happened entirely while we were all off on our CitizenCon hiatus, and because we have lots of shows in 2024 scheduled to follow up on all those other things you first saw at CitizenCon, here's our look at the Pyro Playground.
Who wants some noodles?
You want some noodles?
Hey, monsieur, do you want some noodles?
Noodles, who wants noodles?
Hey, do you want some noodles? Come and enjoy some noodles.
Who wants some noodles?
These are the best noodles ever. No one else has done noodles like this before. Noodles.
Best noodles around, right here.
I don't want any more noodles for as long as I live. Thank you. That's very kind of you to ask. Again and again.
Noodles.
And again.
Who wants noodles?
And again.
Pyro Playground was really just a snapshot of where we're at in the process. We didn't want to release all of Pyro, so it was really just Pyro 1, 2, and 3.
We didn't have all of the content or features, but it was a pretty good chunk of it.
It contains a certain subset of locations to go visit, a certain subset of missions that we want players to partake in, and it's just a chance for players to experience a cross-section of where we're at currently with the Pyro system.
It allows us to have a look into the new, unique systems we've built for Pyro, things like the solar flare, things that make Pyro feel more unique to Stanton.
Instead of us always showing players, we wanted players to be able to play it and see what we're seeing and test it out, and then also allow us to get one step closer to the actual release. The Tech Preview channel is a way for us to test out different content or different tech initiatives. So the idea would be that you're playing whatever is on live, plus this little snippet or shelf of content or feature that allows us to try it out and make sure that it works before we take it to larger audiences. A lot of times when we use just the PTU build, there's so many different layers of bugs and issues that we're trying to work through that a lot of times the feature that we're trying to highlight or to really get a lot of feedback on is behind all of these other things. So this allows us to test out just a very, very specific thing. When we put things on the Tech Preview channel, it'll never be permanent. It's really just a way for us to gather information or test things out and see how it's going. And then from there, it will always be pulled down and then follow the proper pipeline, which would be going through PTU environment, then finally being released on live. When we've done demos in the past, there is a golden path, but with this, we wanted it to be like a golden sphere. If you wanted to do cargo or mining or salvaging or racing or piracy, whatever, there was something there for you.
The Pyro Playground gave players an opportunity to get a feel for several planets, Pyro 1, 2, and 3.
They do have lore names. Bloom, which is Pyro 3, and Monox, which is Pyro 2. And Pyro 1 itself doesn't have an official name because it's such a barren wasteland, so there's never really been any mining or industrial commercial enterprises on it.
Pyro is a lawless system, so therefore, at its heart, we've got some big differentiating factors, like Stanton should feel almost like a business park because of all the different corporations that it has there, versus Pyro should just feel completely lawless.
I really enjoy that feeling that we are in a system that is completely different from Stanton. You feel less protected, you feel more vulnerable. It becomes much more about careful planning, but there's also that freedom there as well, so you're free of consequences for a lot of your actions. So it becomes more of a free-for-all playground, and I think as time moves on, you'll see certain people gravitate towards that and certain people move away from it.
The interiors of the Pyro station were designed with modularity in mind, which means each rooms can be separately transform into either a rundown or an abandoned state. So this gives like more opportunity for gameplays and new atmospheres for the players.
Just having a new skybox, just having a new starfield, just having new colorscapes for the spacescaping, etc., I think is really refreshing to see.
From a content standpoint, we can take a lot of the stuff that we've done on Stanton already and actually adjust it and get it ready for Pyro pretty quickly just because we've already built the foundation of it.
So a lot of it was a little bit more about sightseeing the locations. There's still a lot of mission and like interactability content to put into the locations, but there were certainly missions to be done, missions that would drive the player to them.
So the player could mine, they could salvage, they could do cargo runs, they could do delivery, they could do all sorts of different missions. Go and kill an Idris, you could go and do a bombing run on an outpost.
There was a couple of new missions such as destroy the fuel tank mission.
Its actual name is Fuel to the Fire, that sees you destroying these massive gas cylinders that you can do with ship weapons or by dropping a bomb.
And destroy the server mission, which are two sort of parts of a similar mission type, but offer very different experiences.
These are all just different things we wanted the players to be able to experience and, again, make things feel different than what it does in Stanton.
While I was involved in the development, you only get involved in certain aspects, so you don't see it all as a whole. So when we did internal playthroughs and I hopped on with some members of my team, we decided we was going to play one of the missions that we hadn't played. The mission was amazing, it was very atmospheric. The AI were reactive, we barely got out alive. And then we had this warning of a solar flare, and we didn't know what this was, so we was like, oh, this is cool. So we stood on the ground and stared at the sun, wondering what it was, because I believed, and I had told my team, that it was more of an EMP, completely forgetting that it's more of a deadly dose of radiation. When the solar flare happened, everybody on my team fell to the floor, instantly dying with an intense hit of radiation. And it was an amazing experience.
It affects the players in various ways. We're hoping probably to do some changes to that with how it affects the AI as well, and how that will affect the player in general, what they have to do to protect themselves.
The solar flare on the floor was tuned up a little bit more just because we wanted everybody to experience it at least once. In the future, we'll do adjustments so that it's not quite as annoying as it currently is.
One of the cool things that we got to experiment with Pyro, we basically taking consumables and props to the next level. As a team, Interactables took charge of creating all the new food items that you've seen. Basically, we had to reinvent the way props have always been done. We've had to create kind of a new style, which is the improvised style, because everything in Pyro is, you know, scrap, it's trash, it's things that have been repurposed. We didn't have any of that stuff, so we had to do a lot of development, had to do a lot of prototyping on what would work. We made a lot of kits, so it's all brand new stuff that we've had to create to fit this new aesthetic. One of the things we thought would be really, really amazing to do was harvestables, consumables that actually move. So originally we created the stone bug, which was like a small kind of experiment on a creature that animates, you know. But we wanted to take it to the next level and create something disgusting. We basically created a bunch of grubs that you can eat, and also, yeah, you can find these grubs, you know, around in the vents and stuff.
If you run around Checkmate Station or any of the stations, you can actually find them kind of flopping by vents.
Next time you're going around Pyro and looking in some vents and stuff, yeah, you might find some tasty sustenance. Just watching people do food reviews about grubs is awesome.
Now they'll be able to experience like new mission gameplay and new locations like planet, outposts, or even Pyro stations. When a player just travels to this location, it can be seen from up close, but as well from afar. So yeah, every details really counts, like decals, textures, or even geometry. So we had to make sure that there was a visual consistency. It was kind of a challenge because it was kind of a large-scale station, and we had to make sure like every details really matters. You can access the station through multiple locations, so it depends for where you come. but some areas can be completely like in a rundown state, and some of them can be like completely abandoned.
These are stations that are decommissioned. These are stations that are, run down and broken. The atmospheric controls don't work. The trash compactors and the janitorial stuff. None of that's going to be working. So we needed to really kind of demo and show that off, right?
To really like make the stations in Pyro really shine and be completely the opposite of Stanton, we implemented like new parts, like the damaged parts that you can see on the exterior. And they are fulfilled with a lot of asteroids and debris all around.
The Pyro gangs are not going to be worrying about where the trash is going. They're just going to be shoving it in a corner and it being done with. So a lot of the props exploration with trash was building massive trash bags and enabling the environment artists to then go and place them and create these massive like trash piles in the corners of stations, which is really awesome.
With the rundown environments, you'll feel like everything is completely destroyed, falling apart, but still kind of occupied by the AIs. Rather than in the abandoned, there's like less movements. It's just like a space for you to make discoveries and explore the stations.
Players were able to explore the space stations, explore all the alternative pathing within the space stations, but go to all the derelict outposts, solve some of the puzzles, have combat in the outposts as well.
So yeah, you can really feel this sense of danger coming from Pyro.
It's not we're building a tech preview or anything like that. We're just building Pyro. And so everything that you're experiencing on the tech preview channel is what Pyro will become. There might be slight modifications from there, but the outposts where they're placed, the space stations where they're placed, what encompasses all of those stations and content is what Pyro will be. All we did was we just held back 4, 5, and 6. And it really was just making sure that it feels like our live product. For all of SitCon and Pyro Preview Channel, I think the reaction has been pretty positive. I think having them be on the floor and being able to play it, at least for me, that was one of the highlights.
For us, after putting in many months of work, it was really good to get that sense of validation.
It's really, really heartening to see how positively everything was received. I mean, particularly with the outposts, we wanted to give an entirely new experience, so it's always gratifying to see people playing our content.
I know our team specifically, we've been working really, really hard to bring these new interactive items, and lots of people have been posting and talking about it, which makes us super, super happy. We're always sharing the clips around and just motivates us to want to continue and do even more cool stuff. To see people play it and have a lot of fun, experience the new missions, experience the new content. When we build our modular systems like the Eliminate All mission where you're just sent there to kill 10 people, Pyro has a nice way of adding a new spin onto it that makes people feel refreshed.
The implementation of Pyro system is going to make Star Citizen grow as a game and finally open the gates to new possibilities in terms of gameplay.
So what happens going forward is that we'll continue to harden and continue to get ready for the actual real release of Pyro and get all of the content in and make sure that it's working with all of the different AI aspects or systems that are coming online and do more tuning passes. And then there's the actual technical aspects of getting server meshing ready and in order to make sure that it's the best experience when we actually do the full release of 4.0.
A lot of the things that we know we still have to work on is performance, particularly optimization and performance for the locations. There's a lot of content streaming in and out all at once, particularly at ship speeds when you fly super fast over an outpost. And we're really, really wanting to expand the AI experience within each outpost so that it's more of a fuller seeming. People are doing logical things in these outposts and it's not just lots of people wandering around.
With Pyro being an unlawful system, a lot of people have been experiencing spawn camping, ganking, however you want to phrase it. It's not fun, but it is a part of being in an unlawful system. There are a few sort of key puzzle pieces we are missing to sort of have the intended experience there, which are we need AI to be there and we need them to be reactive so they can see what you're doing and be able to help the players who are just trying to get out. We also need reputation.
Reputation really matters. You don't have the UEE doing any kind of patrols.
If someone is sat there ganking people coming out, it get to the point where Rough and Ready are that sick in you, you're not allowed at their stations anymore. You're not allowed to refuel there, land there, rearm. You go anywhere near it and they will shoot you down.
You can gain and lose reputation with the gangs, and they own various locations.
Are you going to be able to go to this station because you've destroyed an entire settlement where Rough and Ready work? You know, you kill this person. How's that going to affect your long-term reputation?
What you do really impacts where you can go and people's response to you.
These kind of things will not stop that gameplay, but will heavily discourage it.
Basically, the goal is that it does feel like a lawless experience compared to Stanton.
So what did we learn this week? Well, we learned that the preview channel is a great new way to do smaller, more curated experiences that don't require the entire Persistent Universe builds of the PTU leading to a direct release. That the playground allowed players to experience a slice of extra legal life in the actual Pyro system. And that the results of this test are being used now to inform the direction of your next Pyro experience. So for Inside Star Citizen, I'm Jared Huckabee. Thanks for letting us share the process of game development with you, and we'll see you all here next week.